In today's podcast, I'm talking all about the different nootropic stacks that I use to get my old ass through medical school. Let's jump into it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Holistic Nootropics podcast. My name is Eric. I'm the founder of HolisticNootropics.com, and I'm here to help you boost your supplement and nootropic performance. One way you can do that is by heading on over to HolisticNootropics.com and downloading a copy of my free supplement buying guide. This supplement buying guide will help you identify all the problematic ingredients that are found in so many products being sold in the $100 billion supplement industry today. These ingredients include preservatives, fillers, excipients, just toxic ingredients that have no business being in supplements, create excess toxicity in the body, and diminish the quality of the product itself. You find these often in retailers in like Walgreens, Costco, your grocery store, even on Amazon. So if you want to know how to avoid those supplements and buy only the best stuff on the market today, head on over to HolisticNootropics.com and download a copy of my supplement buying guide. Okay, let's talk about nootropic stacks, specifically nootropic stacks that I like to use. And why am I recording this? Why do you care what I use? Well, I look at myself as kind of like a case study. You know, you find yourself as someone in the nootropic space, in the biohacking space, you kind of got to, relegate yourself to a little bit of a guinea pig. You know, you got to experiment a little bit, for the sake of giving this information out. You know, you can learn a lot from PubMed and from, other people talking about these things, doctors, researchers talking about nootropics. But at the end of the day, you kind of got to use them yourself to really understand what you're getting into. Case in point, you go on to Reddit, if you're looking up some nootropic that you're interested in, like maybe bromantane or a racetam or alpha GPC or whatever it is, and you see these clinical studies that say it works, it works, it works, it works, it works. But then you go on Reddit or on Facebook and you hear people saying, this didn't work for me. It gave me more anxiety. I couldn't sleep well with it. It exacerbated my thyroid symptoms, whatever it is. So we have to take these kind of personal anecdotes into consideration, especially if we're trying to figure out what nootropics work when and how. So I'm giving my little piece of personal experience specifically, and this is the reason why I look at myself like a case study, is because I'm using nootropics in the context of being someone who, granted, I don't have, major health issues. I don't really have health issues to begin with, but I'm 40 plus years old. I'm now going back to medical school, which is, just the most intense academic experience I've ever had. I graduated college 20-ish years ago. And, now I'm going back to school, and I'm not just going to school for like a master's in something. I'm going for like medical education. So it's real intense science, real intense hours of, self-study, learning, paying attention, and then, retaining all the information so that I can perform on a test. And so far I've been doing pretty well. Actually, much better than I ever did when I was an undergrad, but that's a whole other story. Add on top of that, now I got a couple kids, and I'm dealing with the pressures of being a parent, of being a husband, of producing content, and then of course getting my studies done. So this isn't something I could just do if I didn't have my brain fully locked down and focus on the tasks at hand. Especially being organized and being able to, again, learn some new information, retain it, and then be able to, to demonstrate what I've learned in tests and presentations, and also just being an active student, being engaged with other students, being able to go to events and being able to network with people. That's also part of the job. So, I hope that somebody, who's watching this, maybe you're an older person who's thinking about going back to school. Maybe you just are interested in nootropics. You already have your career, but you want to get better at the networking side. So you're trying to figure out, hey, like what's a good stack I can take that can make me more personable, make me more sociable, maybe dig me out of a, depressive or anxiety funk, maybe help my brain focus better, memorize better, whatever it is. These nootropics affect everybody differently, but there are specific nootropics that affect things in in certain ways. So, over the last year that I've been in medical school, I've had my kids, I've been experimenting a lot with nootropics because I find myself needing them more. There was a time, not too long ago where I didn't feel like I needed nootropics. I was interested in them, but I didn't need them. Now I feel like I need them because as you age, even if you have the healthiest lifestyle, you're doing all the right stuff, you're meditating, your exercises, you need your brain if you're really pushing yourself to kind of work at that next level. You need to pump it into that next gear. So I find nootropics are very, very helpful for that. And I always say that with nootropics, you can't expect them to do the heavy lifting. You don't want to use nootropics in the sense of like, well, I'm going to use this nootropic and then my brain is just going to work great and then I'm just going to dive into all my stuff. You got to do 90% of the work before you even start to think about taking a nootropic. In my opinion, there's people talking about nootropics out there who might feel otherwise, but I personally feel that you got to get the diet locked down. You got to get the sleep locked down. You got to get the exercise locked down. You got to get the relationships locked down. You got to get your breathing and your mindfulness locked down. You got to get all of these holistic factors of a good life, of a good, well-functioning body and mind down, and then you put the nootropic on top of that, and now you're talking about next level, next gear. You're talking about working beyond the limitations that you thought you had, stretching your limits in a sense, becoming limitless, as they might say. So that's my kind of like primer, so you can understand where I'm coming from when I start talking about why I'm using this, because, the nootropics community too can be very polarizing. There's some people out there who just, they're very tied to what they believe, and they might watch this and go, well, that stuff doesn't work for me and blah, blah, blah. Again, it's bio-individuality. So you do what works for you. You take some things that I'm saying might work. You kind of make your own mix of it. And that's all I'm here to do. I'm here to help you, put these things together in a sense. And this is not the final word. I'll probably make more of these videos because I'm always experimenting with new nootropics and learning about new nootropics. And quite frankly, there's new nootropics coming out all the time. So it's a very exciting place to be. So the first stacks I want to talk about that I will use every single week are 2 pre-formulated stacks that I personally love. Now, a pre-formulated stack, it's kind of like a nootropic multivitamin where, it's filled with anywhere from 5 nootropics to 12 or 13 nootropics. There are some nootropic stacks out there, like a Quality of Mind, that have 27 nootropics. And that's not one of my go-tos. I personally don't like so many nootropics in one stack. I think it could be too much. But the 2 stacks that I personally like are MindLab Pro and NuCube. And I like these stacks because MindLab Pro has 11 nootropics. That includes 3 B vitamins. So it actually only has 8 nootropics and 3 B vitamins. And NuCube has 13 nootropics, and that's 10 actual nootropics and 3 B vitamins. So I look at that like, again, the nootropic multivitamin. All the ingredients in both products, they are all natural, so there's no synthetic nootropics in there. Not to say I have anything against synthetic nootropics, as you'll see from my list of stacks here. But I find that it's best to start natural. It's best to go natural, especially if we're talking about nootropics shouldn't be doing the heavy lifting. When you've got your body buzzing and then you put the nootropic on it, if it's natural, you're talking about less side effects, less stimulation, less sedation. You're talking about a more wholesome, more kind of homeostatic effect. So a more natural effect. So MindLab Pro, for instance, has choline. It's got adaptogenic herbs like rhodiola rosea, Bacopa Monnieri. It's got phosphatidylserine. It's got l-theanine. It's got N-acetyl L-tyrosine. It's got pine bark extract. You're looking at NuCube, very similar ingredients. It has alpha GPC as its choline. It's got N-acetyl L-tyrosine. It actually has resveratrol and tilosterbine, which is a resveratrol-like compound. It also has this thing called Lutamax, which is an ingredient that actually helps ocular health. So that's an important aspect that, also plays into neurotransmitters. So you're getting kind of like a very wholesome activation of the brain from these stacks. And what I really love about these stacks is I don't have to buy 13 ingredients to make it myself. I don't have to take 13 capsules. It's already encapsulated. It's already made. So it's just a matter of just popping, a couple of these tabs every morning. I like to take them on an empty stomach, and I like to use them in the morning. And I find that the effect lasts me all the way through the afternoon. So, you're not getting 12 hours of brain power, but you're going to get probably a good 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours of, just feeling like you're on. And that's all I need, because then at the end of the day, I want to calm down. I want to relax. Maybe I'll use something like l-theanine or magnesium to help with that. But I don't find it necessary. I find I just take these, a couple tabs of each, depending on the day. Some days I'll take Mind Lab Pro, some days I'll take NuCube. And then that's really it. So those are my two kind of go-to stacks throughout the week. Now, kind of piggybacking off of that, let's say you are someone where you're like, well, I want to make my own stack. I'd rather not buy a NuCube or Mind Lab Pro. I'd rather kind of go with it myself. Maybe to save money, maybe to be able to dose things higher. Cause that's really the knock on pre-formulated stacks, like the two I mentioned, is that the nootropics themselves, they're not dosed very high. You're getting, like, for instance, 50 milligrams of alpha GPC in a NuCube, which, if you want a good alpha GPC kick, you want to go for at least like 400, 450 or so. Same thing with the l-theanine, same thing with the Bacopa, same thing with all of these different nootropics. They're dosed kind of low, but then the overall product itself is a good dose. So, so let's say you're somebody who you want higher doses of things, but you don't want to stack 13 things. You would like to stack 4 things. Again, I can't tell you what to stack, but I can give you a couple of nootropics that I think work very well in any stack you do. So if you use these nootropics, you can rest assured that you can stack them with other things. And I would absolutely think that these particular nootropics are good to include in a stack. So let's say you want to do like a Piracetam, you want to do like a bromantane, you want to go a little bit higher dose with an alpha GPC, or you want to use some specific amino acid, you want to use L-carnitine or something like that. Or you want to just stick with the herbals and go high dose rhodiola. What can you stack with that stuff? Here are 7 ingredients that I would say you could stack with really anything, okay? So the number one is methylene blue. And I should say, you can't stack methylene blue with everything. It's a serotonergic compound. It's going to boost your serotonin. So you don't want to use this if you're already using SSRIs, 5-HTP, or St. John's wort, because you don't want to run into a serotonin syndrome type situation. But let's say you're not using those. Methylene blue, you could really stack with anything, and you're going to get a lot of benefit. Methylene blue will give you a kick, especially if you go high dose. It's very potent. It's one of the most, if not the most studied medicine, in all of PubMed. It's absolutely safe. It's going to boost your brain. It's going to boost your body. It's going to boost your immunity. It has a lot of benefits. I've made a bunch of videos I've made one video about methylene blue, and I have a very detailed article about it. I'll link those in the comments below. You also want to use a choline source. So alpha GPC or acetylcholine are the two main ones. We're not talking about phosphatidylcholine. That's something completely different. Acetylcholine or alpha GPC is where you want to go. You can put that in with any stack. Rhodiola rosea. This is an adaptogen. You're going to get stress modulating benefits, but you're also going to get a little bit of energy because rhodiola can be very stimulating. Phosphatidylserine. This is a natural phospholipid that's found in every membrane in your body. And they have clinical trials in humans showing benefits for memory, for ADHD, for focus, for brain fog, for all of these cognitive functions that you need to do throughout the day. Phosphatidylserine is very effective. You can do Bacopa Monnieri, L-theanine as well, and of course, magnesium. So these specific compounds I'm talking about, methylene blue, choline, rhodiola rosea, phosphatidylserine, Bacopa, Monnieri, L-theanine, magnesium. No matter what stack you make, I would highly recommend using at least one of these compounds in there, or you could stack those together. You can make a stack of rhodiola, phosphatidylserine, and Bacopa Monnieri. By the way, each of those compounds is already found in MindLab Pro, along with choline, along with L-theanine. Magnesium, no matter what you're doing for nootropics, you have to have magnesium. At least 200, 300 milligrams a day of that, because we're already all magnesium depleted. If you have a high sugar, high carbohydrate diet, high stress, you're already depleted in magnesium. So, and then of course B vitamins. That wasn't on my list, but B1 thiamine you're going to need if you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, if you're under a lot of stress, if you drink alcohol, that can deplete thiamine naturally. So you need to supplement with at least B1, and then of course B12 methylcobalamin is going to help with methylation. B6 helps with a lot of metabolic processes as well. So these are some stacks I'd like to talk about now that I either use or would be interested in using. So I would say right now, I don't do this all the time, but maybe once a week or so, once or twice a week, I will go with a Piracetam, Methylene Blue, and caffeine. And my caffeine, we're talking coffee. So 1 cup of coffee is like 96 milligrams of caffeine. So let's say you're not a coffee person or a tea person. You're like, I would like to get this in a pill form. You're looking at like 100 milligrams of caffeine is 1 cup of coffee. But Piracetam, Methylene Blue, caffeine, you dose me with that. I'm gonna be jamming and we're talking like solid jamming for 7-8 hours. We're talking like the first 4 hours, super duper focused, laser focused, motivation super high. So, I'll go and I'll bust out an intense workout, come back and still have the brain power to bust out a couple more hours of work. Same thing with Noopept. Noopept, Bacopa Monnieri, and Methylene Blue is also a stack I love. Noopept, people are very polar with Noopept. Some people love Noopept. Some people Noopept doesn't work for them. And my own personal experience with Noopept is that it's 50-50 with me. Sometimes I find it does give like a nice kick. And some days Noopept, it just, it fizzles. It doesn't do much. But again, it depends. If I take it in the morning, when I take all my nootropics, if I got a good night's sleep and I'm feeling good, when you feel good when you wake up, Noopept is a slam dunk. Noopept is going to be great. And then you add on top of that, the Methylene Blue is going to give you the kick. You're just going to feel great. And then Bacopa Monnieri, that has a lot of background stuff. So it's an adaptogen. It's going to help the stress levels, but it's really good for memory and neuroprotection. And so I find that I do get a little bit of I do get a nice kick and a nice, just smooth, focused nootropic feel when I use that stack. Noopept, Bacopa Monnieri, Methylene Blue. Then you got the classic stack. This is, I like to call this a weekend stack. Caffeine and L-theanine. It doesn't really get much better than that. Especially if you're kind of newer to nootropics, you're newer to this kind of brain hacking world. You're kind of like, I don't know if I want to mess with all these. I don't want to buy all these pills. I don't want to mess with these, substances and powders and tinctures. Cup of coffee and 200 milligrams, even 400 milligrams of L-theanine will do just fine, because what it'll do is it will power up your brain. It'll give you lots of cognitive energy, but then the L-theanine kind of takes all of that frantic, anxious caffeine, fidgety caffeine energy and streamlines it into more focus. So L-theanine activates alpha brain waves. These are like dream-like wave states. So you can really amp up creativity. You can really amp up outside the box thinking with L-theanine, pair it with caffeine. And, especially if you're someone who likes to drink caffeine, but then you don't like the jitteriness, L-theanine really smooths out the caffeine jitteriness. As far as a good learning stack, so if you are someone trying to learn something, so if you're a student, this will be great. If you are, if you're doing a lot of reading, you're trying to, study up on a specific topic. Let's say you're just watching a documentary and you want to just absorb more of it. A good stack for this would be an alpha GPC, phosphatidylserine, Bacopa Monnieri, and a lion's mane. So what you're getting there is you're getting alpha GPC or citicoline. Either one of these will be fine. You're getting the choline to really activate the brain. Phosphatidylserine is really strengthening the membrane, strengthening the the inner mechanics of the cell itself, specifically the membranes throughout the different organelles and the specific cell membrane. Bacopa Monnieri is that memory-enhancing nootropic, neuroprotection, and then lion's mane is the boosting the neural growth factor. So you're getting BDNF, and this is what's making the brain more plastic, making synaptic connections, so to speak. So that's a great learning stack: alpha GPC, phosphatidylserine, Bacopa Monnieri, and lion's mane. Now let's say you are somebody who you need just mental energy. You feel like, okay, it's later in the day, or maybe not later in the day, but you got to go to work, you have to go to a networking event. You just want to feel more on. You could do this if you're going out, for a date or to a party or something. You don't want to drink. You just want to be on your game. A good mental energy stack: alpha GPC, L-tyrosine, rhodiola rosea. And again, alpha GPC you could swap out for acetylcholine. This is where you're going to hit brain activation acetylcholine. L-tyrosine is going to be boosting the dopamine. So, instead of drinking for dopamine, instead of doing a drug for dopamine, you got L-tyrosine. That's going to make you feel better. And then rhodiola rosea is going to really boost your energy, boost your engageability, and successfully manage stress because it is an adaptogen. So you'll feel very chill, but you'll feel very on. And then to kind of piggyback off that, what's a good stack for being sociability? I would go with Piracetam, phosphatidylserine, and rhodiola rosea. Piracetam is that synthetic nootropic, so this is going to really turn the brain on. Like, we're talking like an on switch, flip the brain on. Phosphatidylserine, again, strengthening the integrity of the machinery of your cellular membrane and cellular organelles. And then rhodiola rosea, going to be boosting energy, boosting positivity, lowering anxiety, lowering stress. And then, of course, you want to make sure anytime you use a racetam, you do pair that with a choline, like an alpha GPC or acetylcholine. Me personally, I just eat a lot of eggs. So if you're somebody who eats eggs, egg yolks, beef liver, if you have a more carnivorous diet, you should be getting enough choline there. But kind of a rule of thumb, anytime you use a racetam, you want to make sure you're getting enough choline. So you might need to drop a couple hundred mgs of a choline source in there, but it's not required. It's just highly recommended. So, like I said, I'll probably make more of these as time goes on, because I'm always interested to experiment with new nootropics, new stacks, new ways of mixing and matching. And man, if you look around online, you're going to find some real mad scientists out there doing some wild stuff with nootropics that might give you some inspiration to try a stack. But I will also caution you, there are people out there that are really overusing nootropics, really overdoing it on the stacks. Sometimes you can't throw the kitchen sink. Sometimes you have to be very strategic with these things, and sometimes less is more. So keep that in mind as you look around at these different stacks. But like always, I'd love to know what you think about this video. Let me know what your personal stacks are. Do you have experience using any of the stacks I mentioned? Do you agree with some of the stacks I mentioned? Do you disagree with them? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going on down there. And if you did enjoy this video, please remember to subscribe, give it a thumbs up. And if you're listening to this on audio, leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. Otherwise, that's all for today, everybody. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.